everybody. Now, I know this is something that a lot of us probably don't like to acknowledge a lot when it comes to ranking our favorite movies, but I thought maybe why not? I guess it could work for something. I mean, does it? Do you all like it? Do you think it's a good idea? I, now that I think about it, I really don't know. Anyway, so companies, they all make a lot of money. Most of them we like to make fun of for loving money. Most of them we like to make fun of for being bad. We like to make fun of every company for anything. And sometimes we like to make fun of them to the point where we just want to hate them for reasons that don't mean anything reason to hate them. Like say, I don't know, maybe a fast food company like McDonald's. You could enjoy the food because you love it, but you want to call it bad because they're too much. There's way too many places. They make too much money. I think they're greedy. I mean, is that really something you gotta focus on? Well, one company type I think we should maybe acknowledge here is the movie industry and companies. And by those, I mean the major of studios that have made the films. A lot of them exist. But these are the main five that I want to talk about that do exist, that are the five main film studios out there. They are the five major studios that are home to the most money at all the films they make, as well as all the industry companies they own. And I know you may say, oh, they're greedy for that. Well, do you like their movies? Because if you like the movies they own, then do you really have to be all criticism for reasons you don't have a control of? I didn't think so. So, go ahead and just make fun of what they release. Don't make fun of what they do in their company if you don't work for them. If you don't work for them, why do you care what they do in their time? But anyway, these are the five main film studios who, are the most expensive in their movies. Now I'm going to rank. Five of them are ranked, by my opinion, by which films just give out the best of what I like. And just like ranked by, the movies they put out, the movies they acknowledge, and what they just do in their industry. There's stuff from movies I enjoy to what I enjoy from their company. I'm not going to rank them by what they do in the overall studio, because I'm not an executive. I don't work for any of them, so why should I care about any of that crap? I'm just only going to rank them by which movies they own and how much their industry means to me. So that said, let's start ranking. Paramount Pictures. This is the company that a lot of people consider to have been getting through a lot in their industry when it comes to movies they make for becoming popular, nostalgic, or all around memorable. And that's what they've done. They've created such fine films, and they definitely do have a good library of them. Now, in most years, I feel like Paramount's just trying to become big every time. One time they do stuff to become huge, another time they're just not huge anymore, but then they do something else to become big again. Like, let's say the stuff they've done throughout the past 2 years, for example. One thing for sure, they returned to owning CBS now, as the company's now called Viacom CBS, when originally it was just called Viacom. So now they're a CBS type company. And also they've also bought the rights to other properties like Miramax, for example. The company that made films like Scream or Pulp Fiction. Well, they now own that company, so those movies are theirs. And just recently, they released a new streaming service to make their company bigger, especially because of nowadays. Paramount Plus. That's a pretty lazy title. Now, it's not really new. They just bought the rights to CBS All Access, and as they have the rights to that, they decided to go ahead and just rename it to fit what the name is. And oh man, as lazy as that is, I mean, they've definitely grown, and their movie content does seem like a lot of fun to think about. They've put together a lot of fun movies. There's other films out there. There's franchises. They have a good variety. There's the Forrest Gump film, the Indiana Jones movies. A lot of fun comedies from the 80s. Yeah, I know. Every good 80s comedy is mainly Paramount's problem. They've really tried to expand as much, and even though it's probably not the best still, in my opinion, they're still fine. I mean, they're trying. Sometimes I'll look at more of their films and maybe think better for them. But for now, from what I've seen from them, They're just doing decent, and that's all. That's decent, okay? Decent company for now. Maybe I'll call it better later, but now it's just decent. And then there's Columbia Pictures. This is Sony Pictures in all of our means. Sony is mostly known for their technology privileges. Like the overall Sony company has been putting out a lot of technological stuff like TVs and video game systems, a lot of properties to make technology more advanced. Like they're an owning of a lot of properties, like a lot of the technological stuff. I mean, you've seen their TVs and systems. They have a whole PlayStation franchise for us video game fans to focus on. But for a movie fan, I focus on what movies Sony puts out. Because Sony does have a company, Sony Pictures. But they like to make that company better by having a number of other companies in their variety to make the films for them. The one being Columbia Pictures. This one has been going on for a while. Their main term is to mostly just try and make films that try to fit in with everything else that comes out. Like they're trying to release movies that work with what else exists to maybe fit in better. And so they create movies using a bunch of fun directors, a bunch of fun actors, and most of the time it works. But that's most of the time. A lot of the movies that don't work have been their problem, actually. Yeah, there have been a good variety of films out there that Sony just doesn't want to ignore. So, yeah, that might be a problem. But, in all honesty, they still released a bunch of fun films. They've had a good share with stuff like Ghostbusters or even Spider-Man movies. Yeah, and they've expanded a little bit better because not only do they have a great bunch of movies from Columbia Pictures, but there's other companies they have, like TriStar Pictures or Destination Films or Sony Pictures Animation. Well, actually, that's not really a good one. But they still have a great share of films from each company. Their studio has really expanded to try and make things better. And there are still a few things I want this company to do better. But for now, what I've seen, they're not doing too bad. They're working it out. They're doing good. They're making good movies. They've had good movies out there. So I like those films. I'm going to enjoy them. And just hopefully someday I'll appreciate the company a lot better than what it's being put out as. Warner Brothers. Now, a lot of us consider Warner Brothers Pictures to be the best out of the bunch. It's mostly considered to be the best movie company ever because of all the movies they make that just become real big cult classics or just are memorable. And yes, I'll admit, they have done that a lot. They've made Batman movies, Lord of the Rings movies. They've made very memorable films. They've made movies that really do put out meaning. And even the films that aren't memorable still do have a meaning to the company. And so, yeah, maybe I do love Warner Brothers. But maybe it's still just number 3 because there are 2 companies I think are better. Either way, there's lots to enjoy when this company does its thing. It makes a lot of people admire what the company offers. It offers every kind of franchise that we want to enjoy, and other franchises we're not ready to enjoy, but will soon enjoy in the future. It does a lot of that. It gives us the kind of movies that are inspired by books, maybe, or just their own unique films. And that's just what I love about it. They know what they're doing. There's just 2 companies, though, that I think know a little bit more than what this does. So, Warner Bros. As great and memorable as you are, there are 2 companies out there I think are just really superior. And now let's talk about Universal Pictures. Oh, Universal. So Universal Pictures, I have to admit, has been putting out a good content and variety to their name. Yeah, I have to admit, their name, they're theming to what their company's called, like, Universal. It's like basically a globe thing crap. All the movies they've made really do fit with the theme, I'll admit. Like, just seeing the Universal logo in some of these films does make perfect sense. Like, I put the Universal logo in something like Jaws, it does feel like it's there. Universal has made a really good variety of films in their own category. They've got drama, they got science fiction, they got a lot of good stuff. And yeah, it's definitely great to see all the good movies they put out with stuff and everything. Especially the films they decide to own. Because even though Universal's been owning a lot of other films, the ones they do choose to own are pretty good ones that do fit well with the company's name. Like, Universal now owns DreamWorks Animation, so that makes sense. I mean, come on, DreamWorks has expanded at that point. But one thing for sure, this company's done so much to make us happy. One thing it has done, a lot of us like to admire this theme parks. We all been to the Universal Orlando, Universal Hollywood, all those parks. And while maybe I might not be talking about how good this company is because of those parks, I do want to acknowledge how much fun Universal's theme parks are. But they do fit the theming well, and even to other themes. Like, I mean, Harry Potter at Universal is weird because Harry Potter's not is Warner Brothers, but still, that's what makes the park so much fun. Even though that's not has nothing to do with how I'm ranking this company. The company for movies alone, Universal Pictures puts a good name into all their films. Every movie they made just makes sense to what their name is, as well as the films they own. But yeah, you get the idea. They just always satisfy me. I get it, okay? Disney. I get a good chunk of you people find the corporate versions of Disney to be bad, but if you did not hear what I said in the video, their corporation alone to what they do is not something we gotta care about. What have they released? What have they gotten? A lot of great stuff they have. There are actually 3 ways you can describe Disney. It's a company that can be classified to their name in 3 different ways. One way is with their Walt Disney Animation Studios company that kind of was the runner-up to this company's big expanding point. There's the overall Walt Disney Pictures company, which creates movies that have just as much style and fun as animated films have. And then there's the overall Disney company with all of the other studios they own, like Lucasfilm, Marvel, 20th Century Fox now called Studios apparently. Even though they have owned all that, even though it may sound like they own a lot, they're not very that big as you think they are. They're just trying to expand to make their company not get so criticized. People criticize it, but all for the wrong reasons mostly. People mostly criticize it for their corporational parts, for how much money they make or how much stuff they do that they don't like. But the reason that being like, aren't we supposed to be focusing on the important things the company's done? All the movies they've made, all the stuff they've put out, the theme parks, of course. That's not something I'm going to talk about right now, but yeah, they have all that. They have theme parks, movies, shows. They have a lot of stuff, and a lot of them are pretty good. So even though their money making can get out of hand, that's not really something we gotta be focusing on, because they created and have acknowledged a lot of great films out there. I mean, there's the Star Wars movies, the Marvel movies, the Pixar movies, and of course the overall Disney animated films. All of them really have a good meaning to the company. So, despite people complaining about what Disney does in their own little room, what they give us is magical, legendary. All has a good meaning to it. Everything they give us actually is something I want to see. And for all the stuff I heard that's coming soon, I think we owe Disney a little round of applause for the stuff they've made. They have a whole Disney Plus app. That app's helped made their company. I mean, they've created that app. That app has saved Disney from going bankrupt due to this. You know what? I don't want to say it. I hate acknowledging it, but yeah, this company's done a lot to try to impress us. Even if it doesn't impress us sometimes, I still enjoy what it does. It's just all that fun. Now, even though I've talked about these 5 companies a lot, there's more. Yeah, it sounds crazy. It sounds. There's more to come. There are a lot more companies that I haven't discussed, but we'll get to those eventually. There will be other type of companies for the movie industry I'll talk about soon, but for now, these are the 5 major film studios. If you enjoy my ranking on them, cool. If you didn't, I apologize. Anyway, goodbye. I'm done. I really don't know what else to do anymore. I'm done. Goodbye.